So we're going to get started. So I wanted to just give a warm welcome to everybody once again. We're really glad you're here today for this month's webinar titled Texting and Typing on iOS, Exploring Clicks, Braille, Bluetooth, and Beyond. Where today's webinar is going to last about an hour, and there's several points where we're going to give you guys opportunities to ask questions or comment, but just some housekeeping so that all of this can be as smooth as possible. We're expecting a good turnout today. So everybody's going to be muted until the question and answer sections. If you have a question or a comment, please raise your virtual hand at any time by pressing Alt plus Y if you're using if you're using Zoom on a PC. This will make it easy for our moderator, the fabulous Elena, to see you guys at the top of the list and call on you when the time comes to lower your hand. Just press that Alt Y once again. And don't forget, if you're called on, you must be sure to unmute yourself before speaking. So we unmute you, but you also have to unmute yourself on your end too. And if you've dialed in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *9 to lower your hand. And again, this webinar is brought to you guys by the Lighthouse for the Blind Incorporated. Our organization is headquartered in Seattle and has manufacturing facilities in Seattle, Washington, Spokane, Washington, and Summerville, South Carolina, where we make aerospace parts and products for the U.S. government. We also operate Ability One base supply centers located on military bases up and down the West Coast, and we provide contract closeout services for the military at several other locations around the country. So our mission is to empower people who are blind, deaf-blind, and blind with other disabilities through sustainable employment and transformative services for independence and career advancement. And that's really what we're doing with these assistive technology webinars. Hopefully transforming some people's lives through some of these services and the information that we provide. And we're currently hiring. So if you or somebody that you know is blind and is interested in working, please scope out our open positions at lhblind.org/jobs. Elena will drop that link in the chat, and you'll be able to see if there's a job for you or somebody you know. Today's webinar is one of several new community-based programs that we're excited to offer at the Lighthouse. We're just past the 2-year mark with these webinars, and we're thrilled about the progress that we've made, the people that we've reached, and so grateful for your ongoing support and for helping us spread the word. So stay tuned for more updates and feel free to reach out anytime to questions@lhblind.org. One final note. Tomorrow, you're going to receive a detailed email with notes and relevant links on just about everything that we covered in today's webinar. We've made some updates to the content of this email and hopes that it will be even a more valuable resource for you. So there will also be an exclusive discount code in that email that is going to save you $40 on Clicks, one of the products that we're first going to be talking about today with Jeff Gatway. It also includes a link to a survey that we would really appreciate you completing. What you tell us matters, and we've already implemented several of the suggestions that you guys have made. So I'm going to introduce myself, then we'll introduce Jeff and move right into talking about Clicks. My name is Tim Paulding, and I manage our computer training programs for our hearing and deafblind employees and our Braille literacy programs at all of our locations. I'm located at our Spokane location, and I also teach orientation and mobility there too. So I do a little of a lot of things, and I like it. I've been in the blindness rehabilitation field for over 15 years, and 12 of those have been at the Lighthouse. I've taught both assistive technology and orientation and mobility for most of that time. And just so everybody knows, I also happen to be blind. And so let's hear from you, Jeff. Jeff Gatway is here from Clicks Technologies to talk about this awesome device.
Well, thanks, Tim. Really appreciate the opportunity to come and share with the Lighthouse and get some feedback and hear people's thoughts on what we're doing at Clicks. My name is Jeff Gadway. I am one of the co-founders of Clicks, and I'm also the chief marketing officer here at Clicks Technology. And my background is in technology, specifically technology marketing. So I cut my teeth for the better part of a decade at a company called BlackBerry, or Research in Motion. Makers of the beloved BlackBerry keyboard there for a lot of years, and then went on to other tech marketing roles, built an agency for a while, and then a couple of years ago, I got a call from a friend of mine who goes affectionately by the nickname Crackberry Kevin because he was one of the biggest tech journalists covering BlackBerry back in its heyday. And he said, Jeff, I'm working on a project to make a keyboard case for the iPhone, and I want to get you involved. And immediately I said, sign me up. This is amazing. When BlackBerry went away, we sort of threw the buttons out with the bathwater, so to speak. And so I got involved, and that was the better part of year and a half ago, and excited to share what we've been working on.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I was super excited to hear about this Clicks keyboard. There have been a few different like iterations of this years and years ago. I had several of these that were cases that would attach to my iPhone and connect via Bluetooth. And some of them I really searched far and wide and pretty much, I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago, I feel like they went away altogether. And I can't even find old ones on Amazon shipped from China anymore. I used to have some of those. And yeah, so I found out about this and just really think that it could be a great tool for people who are blind or visually impaired because all the keys are tactile. You're no longer having to touch that on-screen keyboard. So Jeff, how did some of this come about? Like why? Why would a sighted person want a physical keyboard?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, I think those of us who have a lot of experience with tactile keyboards recognize the benefit of buttons for typing with confidence, for more precision, the ability to just use muscle memory and not have to uh, be glued to the on-screen keyboard to be accurate. And as you pointed out, there were some products in the past over the last decade that attempted to do this, and some were more successful than others. But we ultimately felt like the existing mobile technology had reached a point of maturity where we could build a product that added the benefit of buttons for tactility, for giving you more screen real estate, for running keyboard shortcuts without compromising any of the other things that you know and love about your existing mobile device. And I think part of that is not to get too nerdy about it, but iOS and the iPhone have all of the plumbing, if you will, built into the phone already to accept an external keyboard accessory. And we found a way to tap into that plumbing and do it quite elegantly and simplistically. And so the beauty thing about Clicks, Tim, is that as soon as you slide your phone into it, it just works. There's nothing else to do. There's no Bluetooth connection to make. There's no battery to charge. It really just is like plugging a keyboard into your computer. And so it makes it so easy to add the benefits of buttons without changing anything else around how you use your phone.
So you guys sent an email out earlier today that had a really good informational video, and I checked that out. And I thought a description, the kind of the description that you gave in that video about what the case feels like, what it's made out of, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about, and everybody, I'm holding, any of you have vision, which I'm sure many of you do. I'm holding the keyboard case and my phone out right now. And maybe Jeff, you could talk about what the key layout
Certainly.
and that kind of thing.
Well, if want to make sure this is okay with you, Tim, I did prepare a couple of charts that have some visuals that zoom in on some of those finer details. Would you mind
Yeah, let's do it.
through that up? Okay. So let me know if this is rendering okay here.
Yes, this looks good.
Great. So here's a full screen version of what you were just holding up there, Tim, and what we have on screen here are three images of clicks. On the left-hand side, there's an image of the front and the back. And then on the right-hand side, there's an angled image of clicks that's kind of leaned back with a focus on the keys themselves. And so just highlighting some of the materials, as you pointed out, the enclosure is made out of a very hard plastic material that feels a lot like a smartphone would. And inside the case, there's a soft microfiber back that sits over top of the MagSafe rings, so you can get your MagSafe charging functionality. And then on the back of clicks, down towards the bottom, there's a vegan leather grip plate, which provides some tactility at the bottom of the phone and is almost a tactile landmark to know that you're holding it in the right place with your fingers in the right spots. And then around the front, that's where all the magic happens. There's 37 buttons oriented in a traditional QWERTY keyboard layout. So you've got three rows of keys that follow the same layout as your uh, laptop or desktop computer. And then the bottom row are some modifier keys. We'll talk about those more in a minute, but those are things like your globe key, your command key, your tab key, as well as a button for microphone functionality, whether that's to use speech to text or to pull up Siri. And those buttons are um, you know uh, hard plastic buttons with a great amount of travel to them and a very satisfying physical click that you can feel and hear once you engage those keys.
And I love the dots on the F and the J.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that
Yes,
up.
sir.
Yeah, so we have those landmarking keys, almost little notches, raised notches above the F and the J key. And one of the things we've heard from a lot of customers is that it allows them to very quickly find that home row and know exactly where their thumbs are sitting for that touch typing experience. And that's something that, we knew was important to include because it's what people would expect from a physical keyboard. But as we've connected more with the blind and low-sighted community, we've heard about how important that is for delivering a touch typing experience. So we're really glad that those design decisions are being well received.
Maybe we could talk a little bit about those function keys at the bottom because there's a lot you can do with those keyboard shortcuts, the emojis. That was really easy to use.
Yeah, happy to elaborate on those. So I've just pulled up a different slide that has a top-down close-up view of the keyboard and little leader lines that point to some of the different keys, including the function keys. So on the left-hand side of the keyboard, there's a shift key and an alt key, for moving between uppercase and lowercase, as well as getting those alternate characters like your numbers and symbols. And then, as Tim points out, there are some um, keys that iOS considers to be modifier keys, which allow you to customize what those are mapped to within the hardware keyboard settings. So a few of those include the globe key and the command key. Those are both to the left of the spacebar. Out of the box, the globe key is a really quick and easy way to toggle between languages if you're somebody who types in multiple languages. It also is a really simple way to pull up the emoji keyboard. The command key out of the box functions just like the command key on your laptop or your tablet, where you can use it to do things like Command C for cut, Command V for paste, or to control certain aspects of your smartphone, like a shortcut back to your home screen or a shortcut to go into your control panel settings. And then on the right-hand side of the space bar, there's another couple of function keys or modifier keys. There's a key that can function as like a tab button, and that can be used to run shortcuts. We'll talk about that in a second. And then there's a symbol button, which is a great way to pull up the touchscreen keyboard, if and when you need it. And then there's that microphone key, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of the keyboard. And that one's a really powerful one. And I don't think a lot of people recognize just how valuable it can be, because anytime that you're in any field where you might need to input data, you can tap on that microphone key once and use speech to text. And then you tap on it again to end speech to text. And if you press and hold on the microphone button, it functions as a Siri button. So it'll call up Siri and allow you to use Siri. The final thing I'll say, I know I've been talking a lot on this one, so I'll make this quick. One of the very deliberate design decisions that we made in designing the keyboard the way that we have, and just to reiterate this, the top three rows of keys are slightly longer than the bottom row. So the bottom row has 7 buttons on it, and the upper 3 rows have I think it's 11 keys on them each. And so what that means is that we actually have more corner keys. Corner keys are like prime real estate on a physical keyboard because your thumbs can easily find those corners. So whether you're reaching for the Shift or the Alt key, which are the bottom left 2 corner keys, or the return key and the microphone key, which are the bottom right 2 corner keys, your thumbs can find those keys so much more easily because of the way that the rows of keys are offset. And that was something that was really important to us to make it easier to just touch type those most commonly used buttons.
Yeah, and Jeff is absolutely right on that. When I when I use this keyboard, you mentioned this to me when we first talked, and then when I got the keyboard, it's absolutely easy to find those corner keys because it's just tactily you can differentiate it kind of tactily, which really helps. Yeah, everybody using the talk to text feature or the button to talk to Siri or to dictate. That's the same as holding your side button down and talking to Siri. Or when you're in a text field using VoiceOver, you can do a 2-finger double tap. So it's the same. It initiates the same kind of command on the phone. And then I also wanted to mention command and space together. I've before this keyboard, I never really used Spotlight Search very much. But now I do, and from anywhere, you can do command space and type in the first few letters of anything you're looking for, an app, a contact, anything, and it does this smart search of your phone. So what I find myself doing is command space and then maybe OUT and then enter, and just launches my Outlook app right away. So super handy, time saver, lots faster.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you mentioned that one because I'm the same way. I didn't use Spotlight Search
Mm-mm.
very much. But we all have so many applications on our phones, and swiping through multiple different pages of apps can be time consuming. I don't know where I put things. I'm not the most organized person. So that's now my behavior, even for opening apps that are on my home screen, opening Safari, I command space and start typing Safari and I hit enter and it just
Yes.
opens the application that I want. You sort of bring us to something which is this idea of shortcuts, which I think is an incredibly powerful function of having a physical keyboard on your phone. A few years ago, Apple built the action button on the upper left-hand side of the iPhone. It took the place of that mute switch. And the thing about the action button that some people recognize, but many people don't, is that you can customize what that button does. Out of the box, it still functions as a mute switch to go in and out of silent mode. However, what you can do is set it up to open an application or set it up to trigger a workflow. And by adding a physical keyboard to your iPhone, you're effectively giving yourself 37 or more customizable action buttons to complete the tasks that you do numerous times throughout the day. And so the slide that I've just pulled up here, highlights three of the buttons that I use to invoke shortcuts: the globe key, the command key, and the clicks key. And the way that I have, in my little brain, mapped those keys is that I use the globe key to contact my contacts. So, my wife's name is Liz. So if I press the globe key, or I hold the globe key and I tap the L button, it calls Liz. If I hold the globe key and I tap the A button, it calls my CEO, Adrian, through WhatsApp. And so for those people that you contact regularly, this is a really great and easy way to skip a whole bunch of steps going into the contact list or going into your phone dialer and just make those calls. The second button we've already kind of talked about, which is the command key, and that's what I use to control my phone. So those are things like going to Spotlight or going home. But the really powerful one is the clicks button. And the clicks button is the tab key to the right of the spacebar. And this is where I've programmed a whole series of, I'd call them, I don't want to say sophisticated, but workflows using the Apple Shortcuts application. So any shortcut that you can build in the Apple Shortcuts app, and there are hundreds, you can then map to a button on your keyboard. So a few of the ones that I use regularly, I have a shortcut set up to open a Zoom room and put in the Zoom details. So instead of clicking on going into my notes app, going to my little note with the Zoom link, and then copying and pasting the meeting ID and all of that kind of stuff, I just I hit clicks and then double tap the Z button for Zoom. It opens my Zoom room. Another one that I use is a shortcut that I've set up with a smart plug connected to my coffee maker. So I set my coffee maker up the night before with the filter and the grinds. And then when I wake up in the morning, I press the clicks button and I double tap the C key for coffee, and it turns that smart plug on, and my coffee starts. And
Sweet.
there's a ton of these shortcuts, from simple things like opening applications at the push of a button to more complex things like pulling up my calendar and telling me the details of my next meeting. But this is something that I think a lot of people are starting to recognize can help save them a lot of time and alleviate a lot of steps and kind of swiping and tapping around their phone to complete common actions.
Awesome. Well, super great information, and and everybody, once again, there's no setup necessary. There's additional stuff you can do in the app, but it is absolutely not required. I haven't changed anything on the clicks since I plugged it into my phone a few weeks ago, and it's plug and play. And Jeff, I think we probably have people with lots of questions. Number one, I heard somebody ask in the chat, can you set this up to do Braille screen input? I haven't tried that yet, but I think that if you set it up, it is recognized by the iPhone as a keyboard. So if you set that up and uh, I think it would be pretty hard to push down multiple keys at once accurately to do Braille symbols would be the only problem because the keys are so small. So you wouldn't be able to use three separate fingers to use Braille screen
Mm.
input. But
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd love to look into that more. I am not familiar with Braille screen input, but I will try to go and research it. My understanding is, aside from the key size, as you point out, Tim, I think the way that iOS listens for a keyboard like this is it's listening for one key signal at a time, and it wouldn't
ah,
recognize multiple keys being depressed or engaged simultaneously. But that's something that we'll
oh,
definitely
interesting.
take a
Yeah.
look at and try to explore.
Yeah. All right. So, anybody have some questions for me or Jeff? Definitely Jeff would be the expert in this for this keyboard here, but any questions?
All right, we have a question from Melody. Melody, you are unmuted. If you could also unmute yourself.
Hello, I actually have two questions. Are the Clicks keyboards one size fits all, or would they fit in SE 2022? And also, is there a tutorial or manual or some way to identify what each key is generally for once we receive it?
Thanks for the question. Really, really great questions. Um, I anticipated somebody asking about model support, so um, I did kind of map this out. Presently, we support the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, all of the iPhone 15s, and all of the iPhone 16s. Unfortunately, at this time, those are the only phones that we support, and the reason for that is that each case is custom molded to the exact dimensions of the phone that it attaches to. So we don't have a one size fits all solution at this time, but we are working on expanding support to additional models, as well as support for a number of Android phones that we will be announcing in the first part of this year. So um, right now, iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, and then all of the 15s and all of the 16s, but we are working to expand support as fast as we can. And then the second question, we do have some tutorials on our website that go into detail about what each of the buttons does, and we have a whole bunch um, of content on YouTube where we have narrated videos that discuss how to take advantage of a lot of the features.
And just to follow up with that, also something that I do when I'm trying to learn a new keyboard or device is to put it into a voiceover has a help mode. So that'd be a four finger, I think it's triple or quadruple tap. Um, and it goes into a help mode where then every key that you press on the screen and key combination is announced. So that's kind of how I got a little bit more familiar with clicks too. And that command is sorry, it's a four finger double tap and it says starting help and it will tell you gestures or anything that you type on the keyboard. All right, next question.
All right, it looks like we have a question from Juan. You are allowed to talk. If you could also unmute yourself.
Yes, good evening. This is Juan. So my question, my question is, so do these go on your phone, like over your phone, or is it like a Bluetooth keyboard where it's like you have to like charge it and stuff like that?
Happy to take that one, Juan. Thank you for the question. Think of it as a case with a
Okay.
keyboard attached, integrated to the bottom. So the phone goes inside it like a case would, and at the
Okay.
bottom of the case cutout, there is a USB-C or Lightning connector that plugs right into your phone. And because it's plugged directly into your phone, there is no Bluetooth connection to set up or manage. It also means that it's just one solid piece. It just feels like an extension of your phone as opposed to an accessory that gets added on.
And
Okay, and you don't have to charge it or anything? Mm.
Correct. Yeah, it uses just a little bit of power from your iPhone itself. I
Mm.
think we say it takes about, if you were typing on it constantly, it would be 2.5% per hour. But most people aren't typing straight
no.
for 60 minutes flat
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And it can
And
still fit in your pocket too? Because
yep.
I put my phone in my pocket, that's what I'm asking. So
Yep. It fits in the pocket just fine. And then also there's a charge port in the exact same spot it usually is at the bottom of the case, the keyboard kind of extension there.
okay,
Yes, good
and I
point.
could
You
put
can do
my
pass-through charging. You can plug your cable right into the bottom just as you normally would with your iPhone and charge your iPhone right through clicks. Thanks, Tim. That's a good
oh,
good call.
thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Somebody also asked, how do you deal with the speaker system? And I'll tell you what, Jeff, I was like, I record all kinds of stuff with my iPhone's built-in microphone. I was like, man, I sure hope this case doesn't mess that up. And man, I cannot tell the difference. I don't know what you did with the microphone system or something, but I can't tell the difference that there is actually a case on here with the recording quality or the speakers.
Well, let me tell you, kind of a funny story, Tim. In the initial prototypes, we had this design where there were almost like little pinhole cutouts for the speaker, similar to, the texture of like a home theater speaker, right? Like
Mm,
little
hmm
holes. And what we found is that those holes ended up obscuring the sound and were prone to being dust collectors.
mm.
And so what we changed is we now have these little depressions underneath each of the speaker ports on either side of the USB-C plug at the bottom. They're almost like little cutouts. And not only do those permit the sound to uh, escape the phone and allow audio to go in, we've had some customers say that because of the way that it redirects the sound waves, that in some cases it feels like it almost amplifies the sound coming out of the phone and projects it forward towards the user as opposed to just shooting it down out the bottom.
Yeah, awesome. More questions?
Yes. We have a question from Jane. You are unmuted. If you could also unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think my question is in the chat, or I tried to put it in chat. But how much is the price? And I assume then it'll be, is it like let me think about this, BlackBerry keyboard where I remember BlackBerry keyboards with like an out-facing uh hmm, sort of smaller keys, definitely.
Yep.
It would be, is it like I remember the days where the keyboard slid out.
Nope, it doesn't
Ah,
slide out. So it's just kind of it's it's underneath what is your screen. So right
Oh,
underneath your screen, it extends out a tiny bit out of the bottom of your phone. So it makes the phone slightly longer. And it's all right there. No sliding out, no anything like that.
so think of a
yeah,
very
I think it
extended
Yep.
adds about an
speaker.
inch and a quarter to the overall footprint or size of the phone, as Tim says, because the keyboard sits beneath it and is always there at your fingertips.
Okay, and okay,
All
so
right.
And
thank
then
Well,
you.
your question on price. So because we support two different sizes of iPhone, the kind of standard size and then the plus or max size, there's two different price points. So the standard size is 139 US dollars, and the larger size is 159 US dollars. And then, as Tim pointed out, for Lighthouse participants, members, we do have an offer to save $40 on any Clicks keyboard that you would choose. And there's a code Lighthouse 40 that you can use at clicks.tech that will be included in the follow-up materials after today's session.
Yep. Awesome. We can take a couple more questions for Jeff, and then we got to move on to our next couple of things. This is so cool. You guys are super interested in this.
All right, we have a question from Sharon. You are allowed to speak if you could also unmute yourself.
And got to unmute yourself. All right. We can move on to the next question.
We'll come back to Sharon later.
Yep.
Greta, could you unmute yourself? You are unmuted.
All right. Hi.
Hey.
I was wondering if there's future plans for an Android model. And then a second question, in working with you all as a vendor. I work at also a Lighthouse, and we're one of our like federal AT program libraries. So we have a library of devices we loan out to people. And so I was just curious if you would be willing to be a vendor or provide a demo model for us to have, or I could reach out to you afterwards if that could be something that we chat about.
1,000%. We would love to support you in any way we can. Yeah, happy to connect with you on that. Funny enough, there is one government, or the government of Canada, saw this and got really excited about it, and is in the process of incorporating this into their suite of products as an accessibility device.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome, so that employees could request it just as they might request some specialized lighting or an ergonomic chair or something of that nature. So we certainly didn't intend that when we were initially developing Clicks, and this is something I should have mentioned when I was sharing a little bit before. I think one of the most satisfying and rewarding and fulfilling parts of this last year has been to hear about how people are finding value and utility in Clicks in their everyday lives, right? We've heard from people who've said, I have mobility problems, hyper extension of my thumbs or something like that, or this allows me to type more confidently, and that's that absolutely just makes this whole thing extra special. So super willing to work with you on that, and then on Android. We are absolutely working on Android. We should have more news on that, within the next, I'd say, 3 months. And our intention is to support a number of the most popular Android phones, right out of the gate. So we're working as hard as we can, as fast as we can, to expand the Clicks universe to support our Android friends as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you mentioned all that about it being an AT device. A lot of our clients and students use like Braille note takers and things like that as alternative access for their devices, but that also have some of that limited hand mobility challenges, especially being out doing O&M and trying to use their white canes with their iPhone voice over two hands. It just doesn't work. So we've got a number of other like mobile keyboard devices that work really well. So it'd be awesome to incorporate this as an option too.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for your question and comment. That's awesome. One more question.
All right. We have a question from Jalicia. You are unmuted. If you could also unmute yourself.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my question is, what strategies or tools do you recommend for balancing speed accurately when typing on iOS with this keyboard, especially for users with accessibility needs. And the next one is could while you have a like an iPhone 14 Pro Max with it, the keyboard and phone fit in your pocket.
Why don't I let you take those ones, Tim, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
I feel like the first one might be it might be a little bit outside my subject matter area, but I'm happy to weigh in if I can.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as it fitting in your pocket, yep, it'll fit in your pocket. And your question about people with accessibility needs. So as a totally blind person, I use my fingers. You're going to be using your thumbs to
Mm-hmm.
type on the keyboard. There's a couple of dots, just like on a regular, QWERTY keyboard that you'd use on a computer, that are on the F and the J. And then one thing, and Jeff really had a great way of describing kind of the learning curve. And I've definitely found that there is a learning curve. But what did you say, Jeff? Like after the first 2 days, you kind of start getting that muscle memory. And then,
Yeah, what we've heard from folks is that it takes about 2 hours to conceptually understand the layout, and then first 2 days, as you say, Tim, to build that muscle memory and wake up that kind of brain thumb connection.
mhm.
And within 5 to 7 days, most customers say they've really mastered it, and they're able to type with speed and confidence.
And I found my speed has increased over time as I've continued to use it. One thing that I would say is that I really had to pay attention. I would drag my fingers more around the keyboard than lifting them up, because I can feel as I'm passing different keys. So that would be just sort of one tidbit that I would have. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Jeff. Super informative. As you could tell, everybody was really interested, and super happy to have you on.
Hey, Tim, I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for, allowing me to come tonight and share with your community. And, I hope that this was informative. And if there's any other questions, please feel free to get in touch, or, to share them back with Tim and team. But thanks again, and really hope you have a wonderful evening.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, Clicks is a really great example of a piece of technology that is universally accessible, right? Their market is everyone, but yet it's accessible for people who are blind too, blind and visually impaired. And Apple has done much of the same. And it's truly a pleasure to have devices like that. So the next thing we're going to talk about, you guys, is so the next thing we're going to talk about is using an iPhone with a Bluetooth keyboard. So again, Clicks is a keyboard case with very small keys. And now we're going to be talking about using an iPhone with a standard Bluetooth keyboard. So I have a Logitech Bluetooth keyboard that I've used for a couple of these demonstration videos you're going to see. Many people might not know that you can completely control an iPhone with a Bluetooth keyboard. Rarely, if not at all, do you have to touch the touch screen when you're using a Bluetooth keyboard. You can do everything from launch apps to edit text, search for apps, surf the web as if you were using a screen reader like NVDA or JAWS on a standard computer using a screen reader. So the first video I'm going to show, I put these together using the iPhone to edit text and do a couple of other things. So if we could roll that video. All right, everybody, we are using the iOS Notes app on my iPhone 15. I'm using a Bluetooth Logitech K380 keyboard, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to type and edit text using a a Bluetooth keyboard. So I'm just going to type a sentence here.
Cap I R E A L L Y space A O P E space L F space U space A R E E N J O Y G I S W E B N R exclamation mark.
All right, so just typed a sentence. Not sure if you guys picked up on what I wrote, but we're going to read it back. So I'm going to make sure I'm not in this quick nav mode. All right, and so I'm not, and I'm going to press the up arrow.
I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar exclamation mark.
I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar. I might have made a little typo there at the beginning. So we're gonna figure that out though. I'm gonna move left and right with the arrow keys to navigate the text by character.
Exclamation R A N I B.
I'm going backwards. I'm hitting left arrow. Looks like I found the word webinar.
E W space S I H T.
Okay, cool. We can also navigate by word, which is a little faster when we want to edit some words. So I'm going to keep going backwards. But this time I'm going to use the arrow keys while I'm holding down Option.
Enjoying. R U Ho. I really misspelled.
I really. I think I might have missed a space here. So.
Cap I R R.
All right, I'm going to put a space between I and really.
Space.
Let's listen back to that.
I really hope all of you are enjoying this. I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar exclamation mark.
Webinar. Awesome. And I can gotta go to the end of the line there.
Exclamation mark.
And I held down Option and pressed the right arrow several times till I got to the end of the line.
Space.
So there's so much more you can do with typing and editing text. But I'm going to show you another feature here. It's called Keyboard Learn Mode. And that will kind of give us some good information about what all these keys do. So I'm going to hold down the voiceover modifier keys, Control and Option, and press the letter K.
Starting help. To stop help, perform a 4-finger control.
And they call that help. It's also Keyboard Learn Mode. So now the phone is in a totally different mode, and whenever I do a key combination, it will tell me what that key combination does. So I'm going to hold down those VO modifier keys, Control and Option, and I'm going to press the letter J.
Option, Cap J, move to linked item.
Move to linked item. How about N? Still holding down those modifier keys.
Cap N, toggle announcement history.
Toggle announcement history.
Comma.
Oh.
Period.
How about semicolon?
Semicolon, toggle lock modifier keys.
Okay, can lock the modifier keys, so the function keys. I know what VOH does, but...
Cap H, home. Cap H, home.
And it'll go home. Let's try.
Cap V, open quick settings.
Opens the quick settings.
Cap C, read character.
It reads the character, and here's one of my favorites.
Cap A, read all from current item.
Read all from current item. So that actually is the same as doing a 2-finger down swipe. So now we know some more of those keys and stuff like that. Let's get out of this mode and back into our notes.
Escape, stopping help.
Stopping help. Also, in notes, you can use standard keyboard commands, not just the voiceover modifiers to do voiceover stuff, but I can do Command A.
I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar. Selected.
I just selected everything, and I'm actually going to copy it. Command C.
I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar. Copy. I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar. Unselected. Space, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
I'm at the end,
space,
and I'm just going to paste that again with the Command V.
Webinar, exclamation mark.
And now I have 2 sentences of the same thing because I copied and pasted one. Now I'm going to do Command A.
I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar. Selection deleted. I really hope all of you are enjoying this webinar.
So this can really speed you up in editing and typing text. So if you're feeling like you're doing a lot of emails on your phone or on your iPad, this could really move you forward. And let's cue up that next video real quick, Elena. There are so many commands that you can do with these Bluetooth keyboards connected to your iPhone. Like I said, totally control the screen, everything. Let's look at how you can move through an email with some keyboard shortcuts that might kind of speed up the workflow a little bit too. All right, everybody, here we are once again. I'm going to show you a few more tips and tricks on keyboard shortcuts and keyboard commands using a Bluetooth keyboard on your iOS device. The first one I'm going to show you is the Spotlight search command, which you can use absolutely anywhere. So right now we're in Safari, and I want to go to my Outlook app where I'm going to show you a few things. So it's by pressing Command, holding Command and pressing space, it brings up that Spotlight search.
Page menu. Spotlight. Outlook. Text
And
field.
I'm just going to
editing.
type in
Outlook
Outlook.
selected.
It was already there, but I just want to show you.
T. O. Top search result.
Oop.
P. Top search result. Outlook.
Outlook.
50
I'm
items
going to
found.
press Enter.
Unread. CV. Outlook. Menu. Chipalding@gmail.com.
Great. We're in my Gmail account. Really cool. Another shortcut that's really handy is Command N. This works in any mail app. Well, Outlook and Mail for sure. So Command N will open up a new message.
Close. 2. Text field. Is editing.
And there I
Insertion
am
point
at
at start.
the 2 field, so I can type in the email address. And I'm just going to type in an email address that I want all of you to use if you need to, is questions.
QUESTINS at 1 suggested
LH
contact
Blind.
1 BLIN 1 D period 1 suggested ORG 1 suggested contacts shown below to field 1 suggested contacts shown cancel button questions@blind.org.
Okay,
questions
so
at
that popped
blind.org
up for
button.
me. I'm going to do the VO keys. I use the arrows to get there. VO right arrow, press VO space to select this item.
Questions at blind. 2 text field is
Okay,
editing character
I'm going to
mode
move to
insertion
the
point at
subject
start
field,
show CC and BCC
and I'm
button
doing that with a VO and right arrow.
subject text field
Okay, subject text field. I'm going to get into that text box by pressing VO spacebar,
insertion point at end
and there we are. So I'm going to say,
cap EBINR screen email body multi-line text field show CC and BCC button
and I'm doing Shift Tab to move around too. You can also do that.
2 text field show CC subject webinar text field
Webinar is the subject. I'm going to press Tab again to get to the body. So you can do Tab and Shift Tab just as if you were on a computer using a screen reader. I'm going to press Tab to get from subject to the body.
email body multi-line text field is editing line mode insertion point at start
Okay, insertion point at start. And I'm going to type a little message here.
cap ELLO exclamation space
Hello. All right. There's another one of my favorite commands. Hold down Command and press Enter will automatically send the email. No longer swiping around trying to find the send button.
menu chipalding@gmail.com mail send
As you could tell, I was very excited about that Command Enter. This is a pretty cool command, and it automatically sent the email. I can't go into so many commands in the follow-up email. Well, where you're going to receive the clicks discount code. I'm going to have an email with links to a huge web. It's not huge. There's several different sections that outlines all the commands you can use on a Bluetooth keyboard. With VoiceOver. I mean, you can go to the home screen. You can bring up the app switcher. You can jump to the top or the bottom. You can change rotor settings. You can do everything and not have to touch the screen. So I think we're going to take a few questions on this. We might go to about 10 minutes after 5 tonight. We have one more thing to cover, which is Braille Screen Input. But do we have a couple questions about this section?
All right, we have a question from Bonnie. You are unmuted. If you could also unmute yourself.
Hey, Bonnie.
All right, I guess we will come back to Bonnie. I don't see any other hands raised, but we do have a few questions in the chat.
Okay.
What is the difference in the chiclet keys on the Apple keyboard and the flat low profile keys found on other Bluetooth keyboards?
Chiclet versus flat low profile. It'd probably be up to your preference. What kind of play you like in the keys. Some people like really mechanical feeling keys. I do. I don't know if you could tell how hard I hit the keys. Sorry, Di. I'll get that keyboard back to you in one piece. And some people really like those keys that don't really make too much noise at all. So I think it all depends on preference.
All right, and then another question. Can the VO keys be locked and unlocked by using the caps lock plus semicolon command.
I'd have to look that one up. One thing that you can use on an external Bluetooth keyboard is called Quick Nav. And that's you can press the left and right arrow keys together to get into the Quick Nav mode, where you can just use the arrow keys to move around and then use the up and down arrow together to double tap. I have to look up that specific command. Actually, you can when you get the follow-up email with that big old page of commands that I'll be sending out.
All right. And then we have a hand raised from Dawn. You are unmuted. If you could also unmute yourself.
All right, Don.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I got a couple questions, and this is regards to, so I have a Brilliant BI40X, and it's, so for those who don't know, it's a Perkins style keyboard, and I'd like to try to use it. I've seen you can do it with the Bluetooth, like you can emulate a Bluetooth keyboard stuff, but how the heck would I get anything to work? Because I've heard people say you can do single letter navigation. Well, I like that because that's what I had on the Braille notes for years. I've used that since I got my first Braille note when I was 7, and I'm 27 now. So, and I've been in the Braille display, I've been around the Braille display neighborhood for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, how could I use some of this stuff as a Bluetooth keyboard? Like, not a Bluetooth keyboard, but yeah, how can I use my Braille display more as a Bluetooth keyboard? Because I have a command list, but I'm just like single letter navigation, quick nav, all this cool, fun gizmos and gadgets.
Yeah, if you email me at questions@lhblind.org, or even my email address, which I think you have, I will send you a list of commands that can be used with any Perkins style input device for your phone.
Okay.
And that should help you with a few things.
But how do I use it? So, like, let's say I want to navigate to my business folder. And let's say I don't want to go swiping around the screen. I want to use single letter nav. Well, how would I do that with the Braille display?
I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Because it's Brilliant BI, so Ball India.
Yep, I've heard of the Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's a 40. So
I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know.
of that command right off the top of my head, but we are going to be talking about Braille Screen Input in this next section. So yeah, hey, thanks, Don. We'll get to that next section and talk about that. Anything else in the chat?
I think we covered it.
All right, everybody. So the next section we're going to talk about is called Braille Screen Input. So I'm going to hold my phone up, and I'm not going to turn it on yet. So Braille Screen Input basically allows you to use your phone's screen as a touchscreen Braille, Perkins style Braille keyboard. So if you can wrap your head around that, a touchscreen Perkins style Braille keyboard, the amazing software that they've figured out on the iPhone kind of maps automatically if you hold your fingers in a specific place. And there's two different ways to do it. You can lie the phone flat, and I'm having to sort of hold this up so you guys can see it on the camera. You can lie the phone flat and use your fingers on it as if you would like a small Braille keyboard. Or, and this is what I prefer, I point the phone screen away from me, and I'm holding the phone with my palms while my 6 Braille fingers, pointer, pointer, middle, and ring, reach around the front of the phone to enter information on the phone and do Braille characters. So Braille Screen Input's been around a long time on iOS, but they very recently created a mode called Braille Command Mode which again allows you to control your phone as if you were using like a device that Don mentioned, as if you were using a Perkins style Bluetooth Braille keyboard. You can click on stuff, you can move around, you can adjust the rotor, you can jump to the first item on the screen, the last item on the screen, all kinds of things that you can do with it. So I am going to change my audio to my webcam, and I'm demonstrating for you guys. I'm holding the phone. 5 p.m. Word, characters, headings, 55, 60%. All right. Messages, so I think you guys will be able to hear that a little bit. So there's a new way of getting into Braille Screen Input. You used to have to go into VoiceOver settings and put Braille Screen Input in the rotor, which, yeah, that's settings, accessibility, VoiceOver, and then rotor settings. Now there's its very own command, as if you tap two fingers on the outer edges of the phone, so the top and the bottom, not the outer edges, but very close to the edges and the top and the bottom. Braille Screen Input. And that took me into Braille Screen Input. So I wanted to first talk about the way you can control the phone using Braille Screen Input. You have to put it into Braille command mode. So as I'm typing, to get into the command mode, swipe to the right. So my right, your left, but swipe to the right with 3 fingers. Command mode. Here it made kind of a dinging sound and said command mode. So now, if any of you have ever used a Perkins style Braille keyboard, you can use chord commands to move around on those Perkins style Braille keyboards. So you hold down spacebar and press .4, that moves you to the right, same as swiping to the right. Spacebar and .1 moves you 1 item to the left, same as swiping to the left. Spacebar and a low C, so dots 3 and 6, double taps on an item. There's tons of chorded commands like that. Spacebar and H brings you home. So imagine you're using a Perkins style Bluetooth Braille keyboard, but this time with the Braille Screen Input, you don't have to hold down the spacebar. That would be really hard to do. So when you put it in command mode, you can use all of those same commands, but just using the letters. So if I press the letter H, clock, 5:03 p.m. It goes home. Messages. If I press .4, it moves me to the right 1 item. Clock, calendar, notes, music. And pressing .1, I'm moving back. It's just moving forward and backward through the apps that I have on the screen. Calendar, clock, 5:03 p.m. There's clock. Okay, if I want to open that, remember the Perkins style Braille keyboard is a low C with a space bar. I'm just going to do a low C with dots 3 and 6. Clock, edit. Open that up. I'm moving to the right. Add, world clock, heading. Cupertino, today, plus 0 hours, 5:03 p.m. Wait, all right, I'm going to go back home. Home, clock, 5:03 p.m. Another thing you can do with this is, so again, I'm going to be sending you guys a list of all these different commands, but you can adjust the rotor. Edit mode, activate, default edit mode. I can go into edit mode. Characters, words, speaking rate, headings. I'm moving the rotor, I'm changing the rotor, so instead of turning, doing that dial adjustment on the screen, you can adjust the rotor. Another really cool thing out of command mode, which I really liked. So I'm going to get it out of command mode with the 3-finger swipe to the right. Braille entry. So now I'm back in Braille entry. If you're on the home screen, you can type the first few letters of an app and it will bring it up again, which I thought was so cool. So I'm going to type in face. FACE. And that should either bring up FaceTime or Facebook. Stopping Braille Screen Input. Opening FaceTime. FaceTime. Edit. Button. Okay, that brought up FaceTime. And I did another command after I typed in FACE, is I did a 2-finger swipe to the right. So tons of stuff you can do with Braille Screen Input. We don't have a ton of time to cover everything. What I really like to do on these webinars is give you guys just enough information so that you know what's available, and then send you some resources so you can find additional information about what you're looking for, or seek out, more help if you need it. So Braille Screen Input, I use it all the time. I'm actually really crazy fast at it now, even faster than I am on the Clicks keyboard. But if you didn't learn Braille, it's pretty tough to use Braille Screen Input on the iPhone. But there's a ton to it, and Apple's done. I actually really didn't think that they would ever mess with Braille Screen Input again, but they actually improved it, made it better. You can control the whole phone again using this Braille Screen Input if you just learn the commands. Um, Moving backward and forward through items, you can jump to the top and the bottom of the page. You can turn volume up and down. There's just tons of stuff you can do with all the different combinations that are available to you in Braille. AR, WH, SH, M, you can mute, you can turn the screen curtain on and off. Possibilities are endless. So I was actually strongly considering, like, I wonder what it would be like if I totally just used my phone in Braille screen input mode with this new command mode feature. Would that speed me up a little bit? Because I'm all about efficiency. So at least most of the time I am. Except when I procrastinated, I'm not efficient. But I'm sure some of you can relate. So we'll take a few more questions here. I don't want to keep people too long. But anybody else have any questions about anything tonight?
We had one in the chat. Where can I get a Braille keyboard?
So, yeah, there's lots of different ones out there. Hymns, well, they renamed themselves, but it's some other company name now. I've heard of the Hable One. We just had somebody drop in the chat. The Hable One she says it's like a tactile version of Braille Screen Input, and that's really cool. She left a price in there. What was that, $299 or 200? Super
200.
cool. 200 bucks, super cool. Charge lasts great. Customer service is awesome. So that's the Hable One. That's really cheap. Any sort of Bluetooth Perkins style keyboard that you're going to buy is from one of these blindness tech companies like Freedom Scientific, made the Focus 14, and those are quite a bit more expensive. There's another one by Orbit Research called I think it's called the Orbit Writer. And I was considering showing that today, but I just didn't have enough time. But that is somewhere under 500, at least the last time I checked. And that is tiny. And that's a little mini Braille keyboard, but it doesn't have a Braille display. Okay.
All right, it looks like we have a question from Terry.
Hey,
Terry, you
Terry.
are unmuted. If you could also unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm wondering if lighthouses from different states connect with each other or if they're all separate.
Yeah, so some of us are part of an affiliation called the National Industries for the Blind, and some are not. There are so many different lighthouses all over the place. The Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired in San Francisco. There's the Austin Lighthouse, Chicago Lighthouse, Tyler Lighthouse. There's all kinds, and we are the Lighthouse for the Blind Incorporated, out of Seattle is our main headquarters. NIB agencies do communicate some, but man, it would be cool if we were more networked, for sure. So there's your answer, no. That's it. Any other questions?
None that I can see, but there was one more comment in the chat that
Yeah.
said the NLS e-reader from HumanWare will also do some things on the iPhone.
It sure will. So the e-reader from the National Library Service, if everybody remembers the digital talking book players they used to send out, this is a similar program, but it is a Braille display that you can read books on. And it sounds like this person is saying you may be able to connect to an iPhone with the NLS e-reader and use it as a Braille display for your phone? I don't know that they would allow that, but maybe you can. Maybe somebody knows who's still watching. Because that'd be yeah, shoot, that's like checking out a book at the library, man. That'd be free. Engyang. Yeah, there she is. You have a question?
You're unmuted if you'd like to
Yeah.
unmute yourself.
Did it get it unmuted now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I was actually trying to pair it just now. So NLS has two e-readers. One of them is ZoomX and the other one is HumanWare. The one I have is ZoomX. And you can use it as a Bluetooth. You can do the texting. You can do anything that you were talking about, Tim, about Braille commands. They would all work on this thing.
That's
So
amazing.
make it work. It is free, and you can actually even use it as a computer reading device as well, like terminal, although there are glitches there as well. But I thought I'd let you know.
That's great information. Thank you, Engyang.
Thank you.
Yes. So contact your regional library or your state library. See if you can get one of those. That'd be a great way of getting a Perkins style Bluetooth keyboard and use it on your phone and use it to read books and all that. All right, we can do one more question, then we got to be out.
I think that was it for the night.
Everybody, it was such a pleasure. Don't forget to be looking for that email. It will come to you in about 24 hours with all those links that I talked about and that Clicks discount code. One thing I will say about Clicks, I wish there were more. I kind of forgot to mention this. I wish there were more tactile bumps, and I'm kind of trying to figure out a way to do that, like a little tiny piece of super glue on a couple of the other keys to sort of help me move a little bit faster. But overall, great product and great having you guys with us. We'll see you next time.